housing, education, and your job, are you really free?
And even if you're, quote, independent and have your own farm, if you don't pay that property tax, they're going to take it. You're paying a rent. We didn't have property tax until 60 years ago. Again, we had real freedom before. You know, they've gotten rid of some injustices, but brought in a whole nother set of them.
Yeah, and they assume if you're not for universal health care that you want people to die in the streets, but just the opposite. People weren't dying on the streets. I mean, there were religious-run hospitals. There were charitable foundations taking care of people in their local community. People were being taken care of by people in their own area.
When you were in dental school, they told you had to do, what, 30% of your stuff for free? My dad was taught the same thing. That's why he does it. Now others don't do it, so he gets a line around the block of folks. It's incredible. Go ahead.
Well, most people want to help other people if they're able to, and that includes doctors and dentists and people who own restaurants. And most people do the right things. Most people have a conscience and try to do the right things within the best of their ability. But when the government takes on all the roles, it's telling you, Corey, Alex, you don't have to be that guy to help other people. You don't even have to be the person to take care of yourself or your children. The government will take care of all those things.
And now you'll stand by as your neighbors drug away, or as people are facing 40 years in prison for selling healthy, fresh milk.
Or worse, look what happened in Nazi Germany. People were literally taken away. Neighbors they had known for 20 years, they were taken away because it was considered to be good for the state. I'm even going to criticize America. We took Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps.
And took their property. And took their property.
Yeah, we took all their stuff, and we thought it was good for America. Long live liberty.
Unbelievable. I want to come back and get your take on the NDAA. I mean, they're actually, the head of the FBI goes, yeah, I guess we can disappear people forever. I mean, right there. I mean, that is off the charts. He's like, I got to check with the White House, but that is what the law says. You're going to have a law I can disappear? I've seen the longevity products work for many. Reality is so much more real than the artificial system they put out on the television and in the entertainment system. That's a false reality pulled up over your eyes to blind you from the truth. Dr. Corey Gold is our guest. I want to get back into health issues in ways we can from your research. I mean, you're a triathlete, whole nine yards. You've seen amazing things as a dentist that the medical system won't tell the people that they know. Most doctors are ignorant, but the higher-ups know. But the whole NDAA thing, I mean, I see Americans buying 5 million guns a month. The previous record was something like 1.5 million. In questionnaires, they say they think the government's evil and that there's going to be a collapse. And I don't go, they're buying guns. Wonderful. We'll have some big war. It'll be like a movie. No. The globalists actually may want this civil war. But I'm not having anybody take my kids anywhere. I'm not taking inoculations. And again, I'm somebody on the air to 50 million people making real statements here. And it's sick that I've had to get to the point where everything I thought was going to happen has been confirmed in spades. And it's one thing to know it intellectually. Now it's manifesting. You talk about Nazi Germany or Soviet Russia. I mean, we're following exactly, and it's so creepy. Dr. Gold, I mean, what do you do whenever you see them saying shut down vitamin mineral companies, arrest people, disappear people, and using the drug war apparatus and racketeering against vitamin and mineral people and arresting Amish and trying to put them in jail for 40 years? I mean, this is savage criminals.
Yeah, it was interesting. Last night I was watching the Supreme Court testimony yet again, and one of the justices says, doesn't it say that at the discretion of the secretary that they could do all of these horrible things? And then the other guy said, yeah, but it's at the discretion. We're not really going to do it. But they have the ability to do it. It's written into the laws. They have the ability at their discretion to do certain things. They said that on the
Patriot Act. Obama says NDAA. I won't do it. Now they're starting.
Right. And then so the other justice says, well, if they do it, then, of course, you can relitigate it. Meanwhile, what's happened in between? And, so now we have to relitigate. So they write in powers into laws that, of course, we'll never use these powers. So one of the other justices says, well, why don't you just remove it? He says, well, I don't want to say we'll never use it.
Oh.
So there you go. So if you have something in your bill that says at your discretion you can do horrible things.
They're snakes.
There's a reason it's there. There's a reason it's there. And now you're talking about people disappearing because for your good, Alex, and my good, certain people might be horrible. They haven't been charged with being horrible, and all of a sudden they disappear, and there's no time frame for them to have to be charged.
All right, well, let's use some number. And I want your take on this, but I've studied World War II in depth. I kind of got into it when I was a teenager, and then in college probably read over 100 books just on the European theater and the SS and the rest of it, because it was so interesting historically. I read the declassified British wartime reports, The Mind of Adolf Hitler, all of it. I read Mein Kampf. I really wanted to understand it, and then moved on. I've always been a big history person. I want people to know around 15% or so of the Gestapo they'd send out to grab people, even though Europeans were pretty submissive compared to Americans on average, never came back. Okay, and this is not going to be like Russia where, you know, almost no one resisted the NKVD. Do they think they're going to start all this and not end up like Swiss cheese? I mean, do they really think they're just going to start arresting people and disappearing them, and then the next person is going to know that they... I mean, that's going to create an escalation with law enforcement that is going to be horrific. I mean, does the system realize what they're being put into, Dr. Gold?
I don't think the system does, and a lot of it's incrementalism, which is... okay, well, we got away with this, so we'll do a little bit more. But we'll do it in an extreme case where you go, well, that was a really bad guy. Therefore, I can understand why you grab that really bad guy. Well, we can kill Americans who are in other countries without even search warrant or giving them any, you know, papers or anything because they were real bad guys. They were terrorists. We sent drones over to kill them. They asked the government, could we do that in America? If we thought we had a real bad guy in America, could we just off him without thinking, well, yeah, it's possible we could do that here in America, but only with really, really, really bad, terrible people. Well, now we have incrementalism. Now the government can kill somebody without warrant here in the United States. What comes next? Everything's incrementalism. Well, you accept that. What's next?
Look, I mean, they're opening Pandora's box, and the bankers are going to sit offshore and laugh at all this. Everybody's having to think now, okay? They'll say they'll disappear us. And the guns are all being sold off the shelves. I mean, look, New World Order, you're not doing this in the dark. Everybody knows what you're doing. And if you strike me down, everybody knows what you're doing. We'll be right back with Dr. Gold. Stay with us.
We're on the march.
By the way, as I tell you many times every month, don't take the internet and the freedom that's left there for granted. Use it or lose it. You keep it free by using it, but you also use it like you're not going to have it in the future. You got that? It's kind of like Mama spent 2 hours making you the best biscuits and dumplings. It takes hours to make. You better eat it when it comes out hot, because dumplings aren't that good warm back up later. Not good ones. Same thing with fried chicken. And to use the food analogy here, it's a nightmare. And, you know, my wife sits there and says to me, she says, you know, people were the same way in Germany and the same way in Russia. They kept saying, oh, we'll beat it. And, you know, our family's here and everything's here. And she's like, I'm not saying we should leave, but we should look at it. And I've actually said, well, whatever happens, we're just staying here, because I just can't give in to the fear. But I understand her as a woman. In a way, you do win if you get away. I mean, I just can't believe the American people. Sure, they're buying 5 million guns a month and saying it's for the government, but I mean, why? Why do we have to have the government say they're going to, because that's government-backed bioethics group, they're going to kill 3-year-olds that are even healthy? They've skipped, oh, let's just kill people that aren't healthy. We're going to kill babies. And I get the government training manuals, and it's all about how they're calling sovereign citizens people that have gardens now, and people that are into minerals and vitamins. That's an extremist group now. That's what they were telling the Rawsome Foods guy. Like, you're anti-government. And he's like, well, I'm kind of like a liberal. I'm not in it. I just want to have a food co-op. $1 million bail. It's good people are the enemy. Have you figured that out yet? I want to get into some solutions, because one area we can fight back is taking care of our bodies. And there are powerful tools out there while you can still use them. Dr. Corey Gold, from your deep research and the amazing results you've gotten and all the products you developed, run down the main things people can do immediately, whether it's moderate exercise, deep breathing, vitamin C, what can cleanse you. I mean, you know, the top 10 things. You've got the floor. We'll go ahead and fame up.
You mentioned a few.
Go ahead.
Well, you Okay, we're back, I think. Well, you mentioned a few right there. First off, you talked about water earlier in the show. The more a lot of the things that people put in their body, even if they taste good, are bad for them. So you have a cola now and then, but the more clean, pure water you can drink, the better. And people have been told they don't need to drink much. Actually, they need to drink quite a bit. So a lot of water in your body, flush toxins out of your system.
How much? Give me a number. Give me a number.
Oh, my gosh. I would take 4 to 5 water bottles, 8-ounce water bottles a day, at least 40 ounces of water a day, if not more. And it sounds like a lot for people who've never done it, but it's just replacing.
Since I started taking your advice, because it's so important, I drink like 2 or 3 glasses, and I guess once you're dehydrated, your body isn't thirsty. Once you start drinking water, it was like being a kid again in football practice when I really enjoyed it. Now I'm just guzzling it and want more and more.
Well, what happens is that when your body doesn't have water, it tends to retain the water, but your water's got to flush through your system. It's designed to move things through your system. So if you're not giving your body enough water, it retains it in a certain way. It doesn't go through a normal channels. So you need to actually have more water. Lots of water, be pure water. I'm not a big fan of tap water, so have your water purified, get all the toxins out. Some water districts put things into the water for whatever reason. They say it's good for you. I'm a believer that if I want it in my body, I'll add it myself. So I like pure, clean water, and I like lots of it. And once your body gets used to it, you're right, it craves it. It doesn't crave it now because it's taking colas and other things that are replacements of that your body thinks are better than. It's not. Water's far better, and the more you have, the more you'll want it. Another thing your body can do is have organic, clean, raw vegetables, and the closer grown to you, the better. So you talk about people growing their own vegetables, that's the best. You're picking it, you're eating it right away. It's been taken care of correctly. It hasn't lost all its minerals. Most of the food that you're getting in the stores has been shipped in from sometimes thousands of miles away, sometimes boated over from South America. A lot of hormones and other things have been put into
Fluoride's been sprayed on it as a pesticide. The list goes on and on. It's been radiated in many cases.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, by the time it gets to you, it just doesn't it may have the right color, and sometimes it's even put under colored light so it looks better in the store. But when you get it home, you're just eating kind of empty calories, and you're wondering, why am I so hungry? A lot of people in the United States are obese, but they're eating an awful lot. And one of the reasons they're eating an awful lot is they're still starving. So they're heavy people who are starving for nutrition because the food they're eating is devoid of nutrition. And if you think of these dollar menus, and it's not that I've never gone through one, I have, but the things they put on the dollar menus, because people don't have a lot of money, are things basically devoid of nutrition but having a lot of calories. So they're eating all these starches and they're gaining all this weight. They're putting on adipose and fat, but they're not gaining nutrition. So they're becoming osteoporotic. They're having trouble thinking. They can't have energy. They're becoming lethargic. They want to become couch potatoes because the food they're eating. So you've got to be eating high nutrient foods. And you've got to be getting rid of all those just fake carbohydrates that people are eating. So those are 2 or 3 of the things you can do. I'm a big believer in supplementation, and I believe that we're not getting all the foods from our diets, even if we're doing our very best. So I take a broad spectrum of nutrition. That's why we put together the Alex Pack as one of the things we present on InfoWarsTeam.com, because it has the vitamins, it has the trace minerals, it has the omega oils, it has the calcium, magnesium, it has the whole host of things that people need, because your body just doesn't need 2 or 3 nutrients. Because you get things that says, this has extra calcium. Extra calcium is great. But without magnesium, it's not going to work very well. And with vitamin D, it even works better. The whole body works better when it's getting a complete spectrum of trace minerals. Your body wasn't designed just to run on 1 or 2 nutrients. It was designed to have a whole chemistry set put in each day.
Now, expanding on that, I always like some vegetables that were cooked. I like salads, things like that. But now, not that I'm in great shape, but I've lost right at 40 pounds now in just the last 4 or 5 months. Now that I started making myself eat big salads and making myself just eat, a whole raw green pepper. Now that I make myself get into eating carrots and things, now I'm beginning to crave it. So back when I, was eating mainline cruddy food and like 10 years ago, even fast food and stuff, I would want that because it had chemicals and things into it that my brain was tuned to. But now that I'm slowly segued